Hey, it's Yakov and the Swift Bird, a blog about tech, software and birds. Sometimes. Probably. In this video, I'll give you an overview of what's coming in Swift 5.8 and highlight my favorite features. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Let's begin. As you may know, Swift follows a semi-annual release cycle, which means new features are added twice a year, usually in March and September. Version 5.8 is another incremental release and it's bundled with Xcode 14.3. This version is currently in beta. With that said, let's dive into the latest changes. The first one is implicit weak self capture. Basically, it's just relaxed syntactic rules around using weak self enclosures. Here's a little context. As you probably know, Swift relies on reference counting for memory management. This model is pretty efficient and in most cases it just works without you doing much. But there is one thing you should be aware of, and it's retain cycles. For those unfamiliar, those are situations where multiple objects point at each other in a loop. There may be 2, 3 or any other number of objects, you get the idea. But because neither object's reference count can reach 0, all the objects stay in the memory forever, and that's a memory leak. It's not hard to end up with a retain cycle having just one class. All you need to do is reference this class's property or method inside a closure and then have that closure kept in anyway. Swift wants you, the developer, to be mindful about capturing self. That is why you're forced to write self explicitly inside escaping closures, unlike in most other situations. As you can imagine, doing so every time is not really convenient. So, in 2020, the rules got relaxed in two ways. First, when the object is a value type, like a struct, self isn't required anymore. And second, you can omit self inside a closure if you explicitly declare it in the capture list. That was a welcome change, but unfortunately it only worked with strong self, while avoiding retain cycles usually involves using weak references. And the Swift 5.8 fills in the gap, allowing you to protect against a retain cycle and not repeat self over and over again. But before you can do so, you still need to unwrap self to make it non-optional. But that's just one line of code, so nothing serious. Basically, here's that change in a nutshell. You've probably seen something like this before. And with the latest version of Swift, this code can be made shorter and simpler. The next thing on my list is the back-deployed attribute. You've probably seen availability checks before. They're often used when your app targets an older operating system version but you need an API from a newer one. With if available, you call the method if it's available, and if not, you just do something else. If you work with SwiftUI, you probably used to see new view modifiers, new methods added all the time. What backdeploy does is lets you implement the missing method yourself and makes it available in older OS releases. When you do so, the compiler will wrap your implementation in a thunk and copy it into the client itself. The runtime will then check the version and decide which implementation to use. If there's a built-in one, it'll take priority, but if not, your thunk will be used instead. Another nice and very small addition to the Swift language is support for collections in Downcast. When you don't know the type of a value, but you need to call a method which is specific to the type, you often do a downcast like this. In Swift 5.8, you can write a similar code for arrays and other collections. Basically, it's just a very small feature. The final feature I wanted to highlight is the compiler flag, which enables experimental or upcoming Swift changes. It's like feature flags in your app, but at the language level. Currently, there are 3 features you can enable that way. The first one changes the output of hashtag file expressions. The second one changes the way trailing closures are evaluated. And the third one enables the new syntax for regular expressions. You can find more details in the Swift Evolution repo at the link below. Well, these are the main changes coming in Swift 5.8. As you can see, most of them aren't really groundbreaking or source-breaking, but I would say they let you make the code more streamlined and take the dev experience one little step forward. Personally, I see myself using the weak self trick as often as possible, even though the days of endless completion handlers are slowly coming to an end thanks to async functions. The back-deployed attribute also looks quite nice to me because it lets you make the bridge between the target platform and your code base much smoother. I don't think anyone enjoys messing around with those if available checks all the time. I expect the new Xcode build with the latest Swift version to arrive in the coming weeks, so you don't have to wait too long. But if you're curious, what you can do right now is go to the developer portal and download the latest beta. I tested the second beta and I gotta say it's pretty stable. The first one isn't so much. And as a bonus, here's a little sneak peek at what's coming after Swift 5.8. Although it's still pretty early, we can already see some changes planned for version 5.9. I can't tell you that much, but in a certain way Swift is becoming more similar to the Rust language, with its compile time borrow checker instead of runtime memory management. I'll leave a link to the official changelog in the description, so if you're interested you can have a look, but again, it's still pretty early. That's it for today's video. Tell me in the comments below which change you think is the most interesting. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more stuff. See you later!